Hello, boys. Oh, it's a little bright. Let me see if I can get a nice, healthier glow. That's a little better. Good morning to you, Karen. Hello, Ty. Karen says hello to Ty, and I'm sure at some point Ty will say hi back. Oh, I'm dropping some cleavage here. I hope this is okay. I hope I can stay monetized. Good evening, boys and girls, and welcome to the program. This is City After Dark. I'm RJ City, and it is dark for everyone but Karen, who I believe lives in Australia. Alpha says, well, hey, RJ. Bill says, good evening, RJ, and the room. And it's more of a lounge, if you will. I think in this tone at this time of night, we're all sitting on a nice velvety couch, perhaps red, and that nice embossed wallpaper. It's all red, has that kind of velvety finish to it, a little hazy. I wish this was hazier. I wish you saw the mic less. Can I adjust? Let me make some small adjustments. That's terrible. Well, that's better. And we'll come into focus soon. Hello, everyone. Ty says she's digging being able to see my mic. Yeah, a little behind the scenes, I guess you will. QD21 says, hey, baby. I say, hey, baby to you, despite not quite knowing who you are. Bill is, of course, using the famed emojis, one of my signature pose, and the other one of B. Arthur, who I hope is doing well beyond the grave. Maybe she's making some sort of stew in heaven or the afterlife or the other dimension. Ty insists I keep the mic there, and that's fine too. Welcome to City After Dark. I'm RJ, and it's later. Blue Meanie says, I'll just pretend that I gave him the hair tussle. There you go, kid. Here's one on the chin. Keep your head up. Lift up your head. We're not doing that. That's another program. Aaron says, good evening, all. Fresh Prince of Africa says, fuck David Stare. And I suggest you work on your spelling. Sean Flex F said, hi, everybody. Evening, RJ. Evening to you, Sean. Alpha Wolf Game says, what kind of cigar do we have there, brother? Well, this surprisingly, I've been doing this show for I don't know how long, at least a couple months. There's a piece of lint on it. This is only the second cigar. The first one crumbled within a couple weeks. This one is actually hanging in there, even though, look at this thing. Looks like an old catcher's mitt now. Because sometimes I also do work here now. If I'm setting stuff up and I'm so used to this that I'll use it now even when I'm not on camera. I've become that guy. And I'll wear these glasses too, despite the fact that they have no lenses. Not no frames, no lenses. So, I think it's a Cuban thing. How long it'll last, I don't know, but it tastes magnificent. And it makes me feel glorious. Yes, happy. It's falling apart already. I spoke too soon. Nell said, good evening, all. Good evening to you. Fun mood today. Ty is surprised that the cigar hasn't fallen apart. It's staying the course. Pantyless Grandma said, do we need to get RJ a plastic cigar as a stress toy? You know what I need to buy? And I feel weird going out and buying them because we're still in the middle of all this. And I got to put the mask on and be very suspicious and whatever. I want to get the small ones with the plastic tip that are flavored. I loved those. Never wanted to smoke them. Just want to chew on the plastic tip. They're like 99 cents. Why don't I buy it? Because I'm a cheap prick. But I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there through your support. Dave Muscarella said, fun fast. The cast of the Golden Girls ate over 100 cheesecakes during the course of the show's run. Here's an even better fact, Dave. B. Arthur was not crazy about cheesecake at all. That's method acting. At no point during any episode where she's eating cheesecake do you go, that woman doesn't like cheesecake. That's an actress. Fresh Prince said, hi, RJ. I once said that I look like a twat on Twitter, and you responded with, wait till you hear my singing voice. Can you show us your singing voice? It's 2:45. There's no one in the place except you and me. So set 'em up, Joe. I got a little story you ought to know. We're drinking, my friend, to the end of a brief episode. So make it one for my baby and one more for the road. Thank you for reminding me. I totally forgot I had this drink here. It's a wonderful lime Ricky Lake. My favorite refreshing nightcap, if you will. So I hope you enjoyed that free song. Alva said, don't say glorious. You're way better than that Robert Roode. He's a nice fella. Facial hair, but nice fella. Bill said, I love the audition story. Oh, yes. For my members, for my Key to the City members, today or yesterday, I posted an exclusive video where I talked about a big-time movie that I auditioned for and got, and then simultaneously didn't get. And it was quite a tragic story. Bill said, just listen to it. Big fan of Kiefer Sutherland's dad, of course, Donald Sutherland. I can't stress it enough. Sign up to the Key to the City. That's Bill's recommendation, not mine. Bill, I'm warning you, there's much more idiocy to come. SM said, how's the John Denver song coming along? You fill up my set. I have until Sunday. I'll figure it out. Give me time. It's coming. I'm not flying a plane. Fresh Prince of Africa said, I don't like cheesecake. Here's a question. Could you be like B. Arthur and could you act like you like cheesecake? It's incredible. You're at a family function or you're with friends or at a dinner and you have to eat something you don't like, but you don't want anyone to know you don't like it? It's difficult. Neil said, how are you doing? Or say, I'm okay. I'm a little frustrated. It's difficult watching the wrestling on TV, knowing there's nothing available to me right now at all in any capacity in terms of any live shows. I can't even go do a comedy show. It's weird. It's a very weird sensation. I feel like I'm looking through some sort of fishbowl, I guess, or an aquarium. Am I looking in the aquarium or am I in, maybe I'm a fish. I'm a seahorse or something, and I'm looking out. And then people are looking at me. Well, this is a kind of an aquarium scenario, but never mind. You get the gist. That's how I'm doing. Bill said that deserves it. And there's a mint tribute from the young fella. And a great voice tonight, he said. That was sung by the wonderful Frank Sinatra, and it was sung by Bette Midler on the last ever Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. Travis just joined Citizens United. Travis, first of all, welcome. Secondly, my apologies. Third, you will note now when you go to type, you have a bunch of custom emojis at your beck, and I urge you to use them. And I think if there's three more members, I get to put another emoji. It's a madhouse. We're enjoying them. Val just showed off an emoji. Everyone's welcoming you. Nails, Val, everyone. Yolanda's here. Timestamp 10:05. Good job, girl. Let me read a limerick for you. I was waiting for you. Here we go. I'm better. This one is just for Yolanda. There was a young girl named Dale who put up her ass for sale. For the sum of 2 bits, you could tickle her tits, but $1 would get you a real tail. Okay. Respect sex workers. Here we go. Here's a better one. Here's one. Here's a good one. There was a young girl from Des Moines who had a large sack full of coins. The nickels and dimes she got from the times that she cradled the boys in their loins. Clever. Cute. Those are cute. Those are cute ones. I'm really stubborn, said Fresh Prince. If I don't like something, I will not eat it. Once I nearly got kicked out of a wedding because of it. Dear Lord. They said, if you don't have this cake, you must leave. Everyone must have the cake. Jordan Patrick said, pretty sure Trent was wearing what looked like knee Arthur this evening on Dynamite. Actually, Jordan, he wears a picture of Bill Murray on his knee pad. And B. Arthur and Bill Murray have never met in that capacity, which is a shame. Nail said, would you like us to start a campaign to get you to challenge Cody? We'll have you go against Warhorse, but I think we can do it. I'm not in the... No, I don't need to run a campaign. My work speaks to myself. If you want it, get a salad and come get it. If not, your loss. I appreciate the support, but I'm not the one to start these, this underswell, this grassroots support. Please. It's unnecessary. I'm touched, but no. Ty said, the black and white makes your mustache look extra hardy. Yeah, I'm growing a little bit. I was instructed to not shave just to see, and this is pretty much my max. This is where we're at, and I'm kind of uncomfortable with it. Probably by Sunday, it'll be gone. Dave said, this pandemic would be a great way for Max Headroom to make a comeback. If you don't know who Max Headroom is, look him up, and it's weird. Feels like you're on drugs the whole time you watch him. Played by the wonderful Matt Frewer. Don't ask me how I know that. Nail said, can we address the mean tweets video? How hilariously evil. Well, it's not hilarious. It's very serious. I'm a heel, and I expect to be taken seriously. And there's more heel videos to come. That I can certainly tell you, because that's who I am now, and I'm getting heat. And you will have a lot to boo. Val said, you know what I think we need? A limerick. Didn't we just do this? How long was I out for? Buggery? No. Oral irregularity. Okay. There was a young lass of Black Heath who frigged an old man with her teeth. She complained that he stunk, not so much from the spunk, but his asshole was just underneath. Dear Lord, that was weird. Okay, this one's gross. You know what? Let's give it a shot. What the hell? Yolanda, this one's for you too. There was an old fellow. Sorry, we'll even start again. There was an old fellow of breast who sucked off his wife with a zest. Despite her great howls, he sucked out her bowels and spat them all over her chest. I want to apologize to everyone who's ever watched this program, anyone who's ever signed up to anything of mine, anyone who follows me on social media. My deepest apologies. Blumini said there's a great Bill Murray documentary on Netflix called The Bill Murray Stories and Tales of a Mythical Man. He's so weird how he shows up on those kind of things and then goes away. He'll show up at a wedding, or he'll show up like kickball in Brooklyn, and then he'll just leave. He didn't have an agent, never believed in having an agent. He has a number that you call, a specific number, if you want to pick something to him, and it's an answering machine. He'll never pick it up. You got to leave a message. Sometimes he'll check it, and then other times he won't. And he missed out on great films just because he never checked his answering machine. Oh, everyone is summarily disgusted by the limerick, and so am I. Good luck with all of that. Tabby said Max Headroom seems too recent in pop culture for RJ, and I agree. It's about as recent as I get. Val said we need a supercut video of the limerick readings. Dear Lord, that's a good idea, and I'm going to have to sit through them, but I think I'll do it. Yolanda said, not the funky spunk. Of course you have a name for it. Mamma Mia, said Aaron. Pandyless Grandma said, no, do not suck titties like that. Fresh Prince said, here is a haiku by me about the MCU. Batman is my fave. Wonder Woman is really hot. Don't forget Rorschach. There we are. Kiana said she's calling my mom. Nail said perhaps we need a disclaimer at the start of the video. Stokely said do the horse with a mint tribute. I did see Bobby do the horse, by the way, but he does it like it's a whole bodily version of this, and I can't do it. I'm not. He hasn't taught me the horse, so he's got to teach me the horse. By the way, he never checks his Twitter, so he has no idea that everyone tweeted him about doing the horse. Yolanda's also disgusted. Everyone's disgusted. Oh, actually, Yolanda can't be that disgusted because she just sent a lovely goldenrod tribute. And I'm not going to do a play on the word gold, but you know what? You've maybe spurred me to read another one. Dear Lord. Let's give it a shot. This one. Let me see if I can find something decent. You don't want anything to not make sense. I like this one. This one is also for Yolanda too, who's already thanking me. Thank me for this. Growing tired of her husband's great mass, a young bride inserted some glass. The prick of her hubby, now short and stubby, while the wife can now piss through her ass. Nails New York said, have you ever had underwater sex? My sex in a pool, chlorine, is not conducive to maintaining sexual lubrications. It makes it very difficult. It's hard to pull off. Don't get me wrong, great idea. And a lot of people think water can be a lubricant. Like water will make things slippery. That's not necessarily true. It's not a slippery substance in and of itself. It's got to be mixed with the other things, oils and whatever. If it's a water-based lubricant, so you can't just throw water on everything and expect that to work because it will dry, because your skin will absorb it. So pool sex, not the best. Hot tubs are disgusting. I won't even go in one, period. I really think they're that gross. The heat bothers me too. I also wouldn't be doing it in any fresh water or salt water. I don't need the stinging. I don't need, I don't need to come up and see a bunch of moss. That's not really who I am. The shower is a blast. That is a hoot. Fun stuff. Maybe under a waterfall. So you get the water, it could mist on you, but it doesn't really hamper anything. Sam said, praise the sun. Yes, Yolanda is the sun. Nail said, be right back. I got to tweet Bobby about the horse. Dave Muscarella said, ever wonder why men have nipples? Well, I assume maybe we were the same kind of being and then we split off. I guess maybe you start off asexual in a sense where you could give birth to both and then you develop into two sexes and it's kind of left over from that. I would love to know. But also, as you know, men sometimes, if their hormones are out of whack, can lactate, which is, of course, very weird, but it's entirely possible. So I would love to, maybe, I'm sure there's a scientist watching. Maybe they can inform us. Tabby said, hot tubs are human soup. That is a fantastic analogy. Yolanda said, yeah, sex in the pool, you got to have a hard and fast stroke game to even do anything. It's not a relaxing experience. Bill said, sex in the shower, too. It's just too dangerous, especially when you both fall in the shower. You have to get a short one, a total stand-up. And you got to have those like gym mats at the bottom. In those bathtub showers, then you're really in trouble. Neil said, have you ever had a sexual injury? You know what would happen a lot? Because I dealt with this issue for a number of years. And it's not necessarily a sexual injury. But it was a sexual mishap. My nose would bleed. And my nose has bled on at least 2 people. And it's really disgusting and really embarrassing. I feel really, really bad about the whole thing. It just, it's kissing and then you look and then you're like, because for a second you see blood, you're like, I'm in a horror movie, right? Because you don't realize, and then you think she's bleeding and then you realize, no, it's me. And it's like, this is my blood. And I'm like, this is gross. And I was like, I'm sorry. And then she's like, and I'm like, it's way too intimate. Like, sex is one level of intimacy. Bleeding on someone is like, that's like the end. That's like weird blood pack vampire shit, So I had to deal with that like twice. I'm getting better though. Oh, but the wonderful David Arquette is here. He said, why should a woman never drink beer and have sex on the beach? You might get sand in your Schlitz. And I'm going to explain to our viewers under the age of 48 that Schlitz is a brand of cheap American beer. It's perhaps the RC Cola of beer. That may be a good way of putting it. David, thank you for joining us. And I want to ask you, David, did you happen to see Mark Ruffalo on that Tonight Show last night or Kimmel, whatever it was? I caught a clip last night. He was on the show. His Wi-Fi was not very good at all. I would think for someone who's so popular and so famous and so wealthy, he would have the money to pay for a decent Wi-Fi connection, which leads me to believe maybe he's hoarding his money and not spending it adequately at all. He probably goes out to restaurants and bars and parks his cars, valet and what have you. Probably doesn't even tip at all. So in addition to having a spotty stream and a heavy lag, I think he may also be a bad tipper. Neil said, what's the most embarrassing place / time you've gotten a boner? I was at a funeral. And it was a mass. I was in high school. And it was a mass funeral of a friend of mine. And 3 of his family members, I think, died. So it was a real, memorial thing. Big thing. Church was packed. It was there was 2 churches and we were in the second overflow part. We all went from high school and we watched it. We heard it with speakers because there was too many people. And I was with this girl that I really liked. And of course, in a church in the middle of a funeral. If you're going to speak to someone, you have to whisper. And she started whispering, in my ear and like kind of on my neck. Whatever she was saying, I don't recall. All I can tell you was that it worked, and I am deeply, deeply ashamed, and that's something I need to work out with my therapist. Blue Meanie said, in the words of Robert Schimmel, hot tubs are just big, frothy dick carpaccio. I completely agree. David said, I don't know how to be a member. I don't know do you see a join button? Are you on your phone? If you're on your phone, it might not work. If you're on your tablet, it might not work. You've done enough, David. I'm just happy that you're here. Well, thank you and welcome to the show. David said he did see Mark Ruffalo on the show and that he totally Ruffaloed them. Yeah, he Ruffaloed them. So when you go, if you work in the service industry and you get stiffed on a bill, you get stymied on one, you didn't get shortchanged, you got Ruffaloed. That's my contribution, thanks to David, to the North American lexicon. If you don't get screwed, you get Ruffaloed. I got Ruffaloed. Ruffaloed? I got Ruffaloed. That sounds better. Yeah. You get shortchanged, you don't get your money back, something happens, horrible tip. I'm going to Ruffalo this guy. Kiana said, why do all these celebrities have terrible Wi-Fi on talk shows? Because they live in these bubbles. They live in these bubbles. They're very cheap, and they hoard and they don't tip. They Ruffalo everybody. Bill said, I thought the only sexual injury you ever experienced is insulting other sexual libidos. That's a good heel movie. Yes, it is. And I should get booed for that. Nail said, oh my God, Funeral Boner is the worst story so far. Thank you for having no boundaries, RJ. I should institute a few. David said, no. Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. I'm just happy you're here, David. The bubble blocks the Wi-Fi, David said, because they live in a bubble. That was hip LA people. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. Not like me. The what? The Bublés? The bubbles? What are you trying to say? Are you saying Mark is in a hot tub? Nail said, clean your sinks, folks. Thanks for the reminder, Bill. Ty said, oh, Nail's New York. Remember the vacuum story? So do I. Nail said, RJ, when was the last time you were caught having sex? Have you ever caught someone else having sex? Yes, I have. Once in a parking lot at an after party after a show. I was walking to my car and I was in the States and everything is dark. So all the cars look the same. There was no lights and I'm going up and I see, oh, is it something? And it was someone having sex in the back of the car. And I'm like, "Wah!" I was caught in a car 8 years ago, 9 years ago. Not in the full throes of passion, but definitely having a good time. I pulled over down a side street and I was driving and I had looked up and in the window was a dog. And I thought, that's weird. And then I realized the dog had a leash. And I remember looking at the dog and seeing the collar and following its leash up and seeing a human hand. And then seeing this man just looking at us like this. And I assume it was his house. He was not watching us in a perverted way. He wanted us to leave. And I went, and the girl's like, just drive. And it didn't dawn on me that I was in a car and then I could just leave. So I went, oh yeah. So then we drove away and it was a sexually terrifying experience. It was sexually traumatic. It was the weirdest thing to be caught in that vulnerable moment. Yet it's my own fault. Absolutely horrible. David said, chicken wings, BJ. And you know what? What you eat when you're doing your business, young man, is entirely up to you. Niels New York said, this is the dog story we asked for a few weeks back. Oh, yes, it is. Kiana said, the only time I ever did that was with a minor league baseball player. What are his stats? What was his ERA? That's what I'd like to know. David said, what a creeper. And I do agree with you there. Well, you know what? It was our fault. We were on the edge of the guy's property. He wanted us to move. What was he gonna? I'd rather him do that, than to start banging and yelling. I really would have freaked out. Tabby said, I was home during the day once, and there was some oral sex going on in a truck in my building's parking lot. And this isn't underground or tucked away out back. So that's very weird. I want to get closer. Now I'm getting excited. Ty said, oh my God. Matt said, I came here to say hi to Nails. Well, there's Nails. Nails, that's Matt. Matt, that's Nails. Pantyless Grandma said, at least you weren't doing anything against some stranger's window. Yeah, I don't want to do, I just did stuff in a forest once and it was weird. I don't even like to be in a forest with my pants on, with all my clothes on, with a Gore-Tex jacket and snow pants. I don't like to be in a forest. Nail said, is there an RJ City sex tape anywhere out there? If so, do you trust who has it? Well, the good thing is it's on beta, so I don't think anyone can play it. It's on Laserdisc. Cactus Kelly said, I just switched from top chat to live chat, and I thought David said bubbles to Nail's lubricant question. And maybe that could work. Maybe you got to get the old dipper when you were a kid and just on the area, and it would be great. Matt said, my Christian ears feel threatened. Well, hey, I went to Catholic school. It's going to mess you up. Kiana said, he was a pitcher. Oh, this is the minor league ball player. Kiana said, he was a pitcher, but horrible. He never even got called up to AA. And that is sexual innuendo in my book. Well played. Val said, Matt, you shouldn't be here. This is too adult for you. Val said, goodbye, Matt. See you tomorrow. Oh, this is charming. Hi, Matt. And goodbye, Matt. Pantyless Grandma said, imagine a tick on the dick. Yeah, that's some tall grass you don't want to be. And Jordan Patrick said, if you get caught, you have two options. Apologize profusely or double down on your indignation. I've done both. That's because you're a brave man, Jordan Patrick, and I appreciate you. Dave said, RJ City sex tape is in the back room of your local West Coast Video. In Canada, we had, what was the second-rate Blockbuster? Jumbo Video. And it used to give you free popcorn, and that was the best. It was really kids-themed, that place, and you would always go to get free popcorn. And I remember I used to rent Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling tapes. And ironically, so crazy to think about, the Jimmy Snuka character was, of course, voiced by David's father, the wonderful Louis Arquette. David just said, sorry, Matt. We're all apologizing to Matt. Kiana said, RJ sold his tape at Blockbuster. Sorry, at least I rewound it, you know? Bill said, question for David. What was the best and most embarrassing experience with traveling with RJ on the road? Or you can answer that, RJ. You know what? I'm going to let David answer that. I would love to know what he found embarrassing. I find most of it embarrassing. Tabby said, I've seen clips of Gildar firing a foam cannon. That's RJ's sex tape. Yes, and it's syndicated. Ty said he needs to find those drunk high school pictures before he leaks his sex tape. I do. I'm going to try to message my friend and see where they are. Neil said, if you get caught, just make hard eye contact and see who lasts long. That's doubling down. David said, yes, it's all embarrassing. For everyone involved. That's true. That's absolutely completely true. I'm trying to think what was most embarrassing. We had some good, I mean, it's any wrestling road trip is just really, really inherently weird. Probably when, I think it was like our first road trip thing when you flew into Detroit and then we drove to Windsor in Canada. And we just went into 7-Eleven and you bought ghost pepper, jalapeno peanuts, a bunch of Rockstar energy drinks, not even like 0 calorie. You got the full calorie ones. And then 2 Halloween masks. And then you left them in the back of the car. I'll tell you what I do have. I tell you what my fondest road trip memory with David is that it was the first and only time I've been to Big Boy is with him. He was very encouraging. I didn't want to go. I relented. I had a great time. And then as a commemorative gift, he got me a Big Boy piggy bank, which I still have in the box. It's going to be worth something. Nail said, did you ever have a bizarre wrestling crush? I loved Sensational Sherry, but I don't think that's bizarre. I think everyone should love her because I think she's fantastic. David said, I once taped over a sex tape before we finally broke up, and she discovered it after we broke up. Well, how did she discover it if you taped over it? What did you tape over it with? Oh, I have so many questions now. Were you taping something? Were you taping a Lakers game or something? And in the commercial, there was a blip. You know, my mother, unfortunately, I have a lot of home videos, but my mom would not. They were not labeled well, which I guess is my father's fault. Oh, David said he said Bob's Big Boy made him smell. Yeah, it makes your clothes reek, and then it makes your car stink. Because like when you are done at Bob's, you got to take all your clothes off and go in the shower. Oh, David said she owned it. I taped random stuff over the sexy stuff. Good, as you should, and that's probably for the best. And it's based on the movie The Tripper. No, my mom would tape Regis and Kathy Lee if there was someone on it that she liked, and she would always tape All My Children. She used to watch it with my grandmother. They were obsessed with the show. So every time, home movies, they're like a year of everyone's life. Sorry. So David said it was taped over the sexy stuff, but left everything but genitalia. So that's the best then. Now you're in the clear. Now you really can't. You're just two adults having a swell time. You're doing a comedy routine. That's like an independent film, as far as I'm concerned. Famous Among the Barn said, when are you and David going to start a vaudeville act? We've been talking about it, not the wrestling kind. Touring in theaters, I suppose, is part of a burlesque is necessary. Well, I could certainly do burlesque. David has talked about it. I've talked about it. I feel like we kind of do it when we wrestle. And I wish we could do that more shows, a string of shows. Everything gets back to normal. I want to hit it like a cross-country tour kind of thing. David wants to know who's on first. And my answer would be the guy playing first base. Kiana said, Uncle Regis. Lest we forget, Kiana, as a baby, was on the Regis and Kathy Lee show. Her grandmother held her. She was just, oh, look, we have a baby. And Regis goes, look over there. There's a baby. What's her name? Kiana Davis. Blue Meanie said, I would tape over old porn to send my wrestling clips to promoters for bookings. I'd get booked when the promoters fast forwarded to the left over porn at the end. That is a veteran maneuver. And that's why you are here, boys and girls. This is a free Blue Meanie seminar on how to get booked in the old days, because you can't do that anymore. I'm going to say, oh, you know what I should say? I should call up somebody trying to get booked for a promotion and say, here's a link to my match. And it's like a Pornhub link or something. And if they're interested, then they'll just book me. They're like, this guy sent me porn. He's a good guy. That is talk about being under the learning tree. You came here for limericks and cigars and glasses and lime Ricky Lakes, but little did you know, you would get the indie wrestling tip of the decade. What a champ. Tabby said, seeing Blue Meanie and David here, I'm now curious what the minimum number of wrestlers it takes to be considered a stable. This actually isn't even the most that's been here. It's been Meanie, Taven, and Dalton at the same time. This is the 4 of us, the 5 of us. I think you need 3 to be a stable. 4. I think 4 is fair. Because 3, you can still be a tag team under the Freebird demolition rule. Stokely said, RJ, would you rather clap Alan cheeks or slap legs? I have absolutely no idea what that means. I've slapped my leg before, and I will do it again because I like it. Neil said, Blue Lovely should FaceTime in one night. He should. And Meanie is now high-fiving David. They're bonding. Isn't this sweet? And OSWF is using the David Arquette emoji. David, that's your face. Future Reunion drew that. That's your face. Dave Muscarella said, one time when I was a teenager, me and my female neighbor of the same age as me watched a pornographic film in my parents' VCR, and it got stuck in the machine, and we freaked out trying to eject it. Oh my, like VHSs? That would be harrowing. You can't click away, when you're a kid. The internet, when I was in my discovering years, was very much a thing. So you click away. But that must be horrible. I remember seeing stuff in like my friend's garage, and his dad would just leave off-brand pornographic magazines strewn. They would be strewn in the garage. And, do your business, whatever you want to do. But to leave them strewn is a little bizarre to me. Val Pancake said, do you want to be a good guy, though? Aren't you a heel that calls me a loser? No, I'm a heel, and you're a dweeb. And I must be booed. Famous Among the Barn said, are you and David more Laurel and Hardy or Abbott and Costello or Schreiber and Burns? We're not them. We're a little more Shields and Yarnell. I would say maybe we're a little more Laurel and Hardy. I seem to be a creator of my own misery, and he seems to be a creator of his own joy. We seem to be painting the same picture, but with different colors. David said, he's heel, I'm baby. I'll tell you who's the biggest heel of all time. Is that Mark Ruffalo fella. You ever get Ruffalo? It's a horrible experience. Oh, David's clarifying, boo him, yay me. That breaks it down. That makes more sense. Dave said, it took like 40 eject button clicks to get it out. You ever get a tape stuck? And the film comes out, and it's like, and you just, there's no way, and you try to put it back, but you can't. That film's over. Mrs. Meanie, we got the whole Meanie fam here. Everybody's going blue. If I find a blank tape around the house that says wrestling, I always say that is porn. Turns out Blue Meanie let his neighbors borrow wrestling tapes one time, and one definitely had porn on it. Listen, between you and I, it's much better that somebody accidentally sees that you have a porno tape than someone accidentally seeing that you have a wrestling tape. I got stuff like WCW 93. Somebody sees I have that, they go, what is wrong with you? Why aren't you watching porn? One time, this guy who used to cut my hair was a super wrestling fan. I had this old WCW tape with like some just weird, rare stuff on it. I was like, oh, I gotta give it to you. So I lent it to him. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I gave Tony the tape. That tape. My mom's like, you gave him that tape? I was like, why? She's like, it has your brother's ultrasound on it. So there's like an episode of like the WCW Power Hour. I don't know what, apropos of nothing. And then my brother in the womb. Thanks, Future Reunion, said David. He's a sweet fella. Panzo's grandma said every VHS tape you got as a hand-me-down from relatives would have at least 5 minutes of overtaped porn at the end. You gotta stay till the end. You feel like it ends, but then you gotta let it go. The tape hasn't stopped yet. You gotta let it go, and then you'll see it. Rye said Rossi and Allen. Dear Lord, that's a deep cut. Stokely said, are there any spicy fan fiction RJ stories? Yeah, there are. There's a bunch of... a woman wrote one of about like me and Effie and Danhausen. And then so long ago, there would be a bunch of the Splat-A-Lot ones about Gildor, but they would be fan fiction from kids. So they were not, obviously not erotic. It would just be like us living in the house being like, Gildor comes down and wants to do his laundry. And it's very adorable. Nails. Oh, David said, we're like the Captain and Tennille. We're more like the Captain Lou Albano. Nail said, if you and David were stars in a sitcom as the dates for that week, which sitcom twosome would you be dating? Well, I believe the answer would be Laverne and Shirley. I think that would work for me. Or perhaps Chico and the Man. Cactus Kelly said, as a child, my mom was convinced my VHS labeled WCW Hog Wild was porn. And it kind of was. All those people surrounding the ring in leather. Oh, no. It's gross. Tabby said, don't tell me oiled up, half-naked men grappling isn't pornography. Kiana said, my dad taped Real Sex from HBO over one of my Rugrats tapes. Do you remember the episode where Stu Pickles wants to watch? No, not Stu, Grandpa Pickles. He's like, oh, your kid's I got space boobs. It was like the weirdest tape, but it was clearly porn. It was like Vixen Ladies from Mars. David Arquette said, my early wrestling is more vulgar than porn. That's for sure. It's very graphic and uncouth and also quite sweaty. There are a lot of tremendous similarities. What's the most outrageous kink you've been ever asked to partake in? Outrageous. It's not. I feel like everyone has weird thing, and you got to be ready to embrace it. I mean, it's a kink. So it's like, of course it's weird because it's a kink. But I did have a friend, a wrestler, whose job it was, he found people on Craigslist who wanted weird stuff done to them, and he would do it for them for money. A bunch of weird stuff. The typical, whatever the gross stuff you could think is stuff he would do. Totally fine with it, totally cool, very professional relationship with these people. But I said, given all this stuff, what is the absolute weirdest thing? And he said there was a guy who wanted him to come over, tie him up on a chair, and then vandalize the guy's house. And I never laughed so hard in my life, because you're thinking it's going to be all gross sex, whatever. And like, kinks are never like that. It's usually some power dynamic identity thing. And so that was just so out of left field for me. And I just thinking in my head going, what is this guy saying? Oh, I want you to come in and leave your shoes on, get your shoes muddy and leave them walk on the carpet a little. And then there's a bunch of papers on my desk. I want you to just mess them up. And, eat a sandwich on the plate. Don't even rinse the plate. Just put it in the sink. So that gave me a good 10 minutes of joy, just envisioning that. Blue Meanie said, did I lose you? Where is he? I've lost. Oh, Blue Meanie said, I once did wrestling and porn when my balls fell out on Monday Night Raw versus Goldust. Do you have the date? Can we go back and watch this? Did they censor it? What did they do? Did anyone say, hey, you should really tuck your balls back in? Or did you know? Because in those jean shorts, anything can happen. Dave said, RJ and David are like the Sherry Lewis and Lamb Chop. I love Sherry. I have a Sherry Lewis autograph picture. Nails New York said, David, do you pause in the middle of sex to sign autographs like you did at Alpha One? Dear Lord. David said, on the topic of porn, Mope is a film I'm in about porn, available now on video on demand. DDP taught me that. Yes, good plug. And it is I saw the trailer and it looks adorable. David plays a porn director. And these two fellas are trying to get into the business and make a name for themselves. And he, I guess, tries to direct them. And it looks like a blast. It's called Mope. If you like this, it's basically the movie version of this evening, of this episode. So I encourage you to go check it out. Dear Lord. Famous Among the Barn said David and RJ are like Tony Orlando and Dawn. There was 3 of them. There was 2 Dawns. One of them was, what was her name? She played the aunt on Family Matters. It'll come to me. It just came and then it left. Tony Orlando and Dawn, and her name is Thelma Hopkins. There we go. Back in business. David said we're more like Roland Flowers. Isn't it Waylon Flowers? I think it's Waylon Flowers and Madam. I met when I went to Zsa Zsa Gabor's husband's birthday party. I met Madam and the guy who was bequeathed the guy who was bequeathed Madam when Waylon Flowers died. David said, I'm Lenny, you're Squiggy. They're both the same to me. So listen, since David is here, we should consider doing a remake of Grey Gardens, but a wrestling version. Absolutely. David can set up his ring, and it just turns out I've just been sitting there waiting for the next match for years and years and years. I would love to. Yolanda said, my uncle almost taped over the 94 Survivor Series, so I taped over all his porn with WWF pay-per-views from 95, 96, and he still used them, which is weird. He had no complaints. Texas High Flyer said, are you aware Tommy Dreamer is now reviewing coffee on his podcast? He referenced me, but didn't even shout me out by name. Well, I shout him out all the time because I'm not afraid. I'm not worried about competition. I think it's very sweet that you were so inspired by me, Tommy, and so circle of life, so full circle, that you inspired me in this business to wear track pants. And now I've inspired you to review coffee. And I'm proud of you, kids. Send me your reel. Send me a VHS. Hopefully there's some porn at the end. David said, yes, Waylon is Waylon Flowers. Good. Rye said, my stepfather was a photographer for porn actresses and strippers and did porn video distribution sales on the side. He had a collection of over 3,000 tapes. You know who else had tremendous porn collections, apparently? Red Skelton and Lou Costello. Apparently, Lou Costello had like one of the largest collections in the world, but it was so long ago, like in the 50s and 60s. It's crazy. Painkiller's grandma said sexual vandalism. Why haven't I heard of this? I could do that. Hit me up. Blue Meanie said, oh, look, Nicholas Harold is here. Nicholas, so sweet of you. Greetings all. Better late than never. I made it. What's David saying now? Yes, those girls taught me a lot of techniques. Dave Mascarella said, what would your porn name be if you didn't want to use RJ City? Well, if you go by the porn rules, your first pet's name, which was my first cat, and the name of the street I was on would be Chokshi Avenue, which I think is also a great old-timey actor name, too. Dear Lord. Blue Meanie said, oh, let's go back to the ball story. This is when they recorded every Raw every other week, so it was edited out. You'll never know the feeling of seeing your plums on a Jumbotron. That's so true. They don't do it anymore. They don't free ball it. But that is a moment for you and for all those wonderful fans. I'm sure there must be some bootleg. I wonder if they have the copies of that. Do you think they just erase them? They must not. They must have the master somewhere. Your balls must be floating somewhere in Titan Towers. Bill said, now we need a book of Andre and Hervé's sexual escapades. Dear Lord. Neil said, Blue Lovely. It'll be... David Arquette said, 2 dawns. In my marriage to Courtney, John Lovitz got up and said, I don't know why David didn't take Courtney's nest. Courtney, if I messed this up, let's do it again. In my marriage to Courtney, John Lovitz got up and said, I don't know why David didn't take Courtney's last name because everyone knows 2 cocks are better than 1. And then he's like, oh, thank you. Thank you. These are the people you invite to your wedding? What are you doing? What were you guys just sitting around? And you like make a list. You got through your family members, and then you're sitting around with cigar around, and you say, write John Lovitz down. I want him at the wedding. Nils New York said, did you vanity search your own name on Twitter? What's the best and worst things you found? I would say 98% of the time I find good, encouraging stuff. And I don't know why people don't tag me in it if it's complimentary. I guess they don't want to look for attention, which is whatever. The worst stuff is when I vanity search and there's nothing there. Negating the need for the search. Miss Meanie said, when I met Luna Vachon, the first thing she yelled was, hey, Meanie, remember when your balls fell out on Raw? I cherish that moment in my life. Well, it certainly made an impression on her. Carla said, hashtag big time guy. Stokely said, didn't the dude from Hogan's Heroes really love porn so much? He made his own home videos? I know nothing. Sam said, God bless you, Arquette. Much love. Much love to you. What's a good name, said Nails, for a wrestling-themed porno? Matt Burns. Or Rope Burns. Pantyless Grandma said, Chokshi should have a massive fake mustache. I'm working on it. Blue Meanie said, between ECW and WWE, my balls are definitely archived. I want them to put out the Blue Meanie ball supercut. David says, a wonderful impression of Luna Vachon or of John Lovitz. I have such range. David said, John Lovitz is a swell guy. I'm not going to disagree with you. If you wrote a mean tweet to yourself, said Nails, what would it say? Would it say, hey, you're not a good, you're in trouble, mister? That's what it would say. Bill said, what's ever happened to the guy that requested pictures of you online? Nothing. They'll just send them at weird times. They usually end up in my request box, so they'll send a bunch of it, and I don't see it until later, which is weird. Dave Mascarella said, who was your favorite member of the Oddities? Well, I would have to say for me, Kurgan, because I worked with him, and he was an incredibly nice guy, Robert Maillet. We did Monster Ball together, and he was just the nicest, gentlemanly man. But I will say, close second, because he raved about him, was Earthquake, who played Golgut. And he said he was a nice man. And when a nice man tells you he's a nice man, then there's got to really be a nice man. Stokely said, I need to see Blue Meanie's balls. Maybe you could just do an indie tour where you just get in these matches and your balls pop out, and it's a testicle tour. Tabby Lavalamp said, so I realized that City After Dark's initials are CAD. because he's a heel, and heels are cats, yes, and rogues, and toughs, and no good nicks too. Val Pancake said, I feel like we haven't had a limerick in a minute. Well, you know what, Val? This Huckleberry is for you. Can't say that. Here we go. That doesn't make any sense. You see, some of these I'm trying to get to rhyme. Here we go. There was a young lady of Pinner who dreamt that her lover was in her. This excited her heart, so she let a great fart and shit out her yesterday's dinner. That's all for you, Val. It's entirely your fault. You must accept responsibility for that. Tabby cracked the code, said David. Yes, I am quite a cad. How do you balance, said Nails, being such a mean heel and being so freaking cute? No, I'm rough. Look at this facial hair, huh? You know, wow, look at this guy. Jordan said, Blue Balls Tour 2021. Trademark it now, Meanie. Nails said, whose sex tape would you most like to see and whose sex tape would you least like to see? John Lovitz is on the list, but I don't know in what category. I always thought John Mellencamp was attractive. Only men named John. Val said, can't say that. A sign of a good limerick. No, there sometimes are really uncouth or things that don't make any sense. Like sometimes it's old English language and I don't really understand it. This is about diseases. Here we go. Okay. No. We'll find a better one. Oh, I see, and then some of them I don't understand. Motherhood. This is about motherhood. See, they have words I don't know, and I'm like, okay. You don't know how to rhyme them. Here we go. Gorman's excrements. Okay, excrements. There once was a sailor from Wales, an expert at pissing in gales. He could piss in a jar from the top gallant spar without even wetting the sails. See, like, what is that? You have to know all these sailing terms to get the limerick? This is crazy. Jordan said this is not getting monetized. Surprisingly, the limericks get around it. It's cleverly written. Carla said it's pretty rough facial hair. It's getting softer now. It's getting longer, but I really don't like it. It'll be gone soon. Blue Meanie said, I once stopped a concert at the Whiskey in Hollywood with a fart, and you can listen to that story and more on his Mind of Meanie podcast. I'm serious, by the way. Which is also on YouTube. You can just click on this thing and whatever. Nicholas said, Blue Meanie with a blue angel. Neil said, Blue Lovely drops all his boundaries in these chats, too. This is a safe and also dangerous space. Blue Meanie said, my goal is to just pop RJ in his chat, and he's done it multiple times today. Rye Levy said the Chuck Berry sex tape was a real pisser, and you mean that in more ways than one, and he was investigated by the FBI or the CIA for his collection, if his tapes, how he filmed them, whatever. He was an odd, strange man. I think they released his file publicly. Nail said, maybe we need to write some fan limericks. Bill said, Meanie, if RJ decides to do a podcast, can he get you a promo code for Manscape? It'll help with all the future exposures in the ring. It's not a bad idea. It's a good crossover. Robert says, hi, Blue Meanie. And then Blue Meanie says, hello, Robert back. Isn't that sweet? Neil said, how do you feel about being invited to birthday parties? It depends. I don't like being forced to have fun. Like that inherently bothers me. I don't like, oh, it's going to be such a great time. And it's like 3 weeks from now. And it's like, how do you know that? How do you know what mood I'm going to be in 3 weeks from now? You know, it bothers me. Otherwise, if it's low key, if it's nice, if I don't have to dress up, if I don't have to bring anything, it's good. Pamela's grandma said there once was a man from Bel Air who was doing his wife on the stair, but the banister broke, so she doubled his stroke and finished her off in midair. You got Fancy-less grandma gets this nod of limerick approval. It's so sweet. Tabby said, Chuck Berry's biggest hit was My Ding-a-Ling, a jaunty song about his penis. Yeah, it absolutely was. Yolanda said, what? Chuck Berry had that nasty point. Yeah, he did. And he had a lot of it. And he was a crazy man. Dave said, having to buy a gift for someone also sucks. And I completely agree. Yolanda said, now that's a good one. Bravo to that kind of stroke. That's the good kind of stroke. Let me see if I can at least find something that we'll all like. Oh, that one we did. I remember that one from a while ago. There was a young lady of fashion who had oodles and oodles of passion. To her lover, she said, as they climbed into the bed, here's one thing the bastards can't ration. This was during the war. It was political. It was really political. It's good stuff. There was a young lady named Flynn who thought fornication a sin. But when she was tight, it seemed quite all right, so everyone filled her with gin. What does that mean? Explain that to me, because I don't quite understand it. Neil said, we need to request Ding-a-Ling on Sunday. Oh, I got to learn it. That's an old one. Dave said, I feel like most people in Hollywood have some weird habits and kinks. I feel like most people do, period, but in Hollywood, you have enough money to make them all come true. Karen said, I totally enjoy watching your City After Dark. That's so sweet of you, Karen. Nail said, would you rather shout, hey, lady, at the end of sex or announce, play with my dingling at the start? Not only would I want to yell, hey, lady, I'm pretty sure I've done it. So that's not a fair comparison at all. Meanie said, isn't it true that the rifleman Chuck Connors did porn? That's one of my favorite old Westerns. That show is so good. And I have to look, I'm going to look that up. I'm going to get back to you on that. I got to watch the Chuck Connors sex tape. Who knows if like he did it or he was just in it. Like I think Sylvester Stallone was like in one. And last week I talked about Rue McClanahan being in that exploitation film that she was in called Walk the Angry Beach. Or I think it was also called Hollywood After Dark, which is so apropos because this is what this show has become. Bill said, what is the next chapter of Hollywood Babylon going to be about? I can't for the life of me remember, but it gets into some really, so for my exclusive Key to the City members, every week I upload an exclusive video they don't see anywhere else, and I get to talk about real weirdness. And I've been reading Hollywood Babylon chapter by chapter, and we talked about a lot of weird things. I can't remember what the next one is. Rudolph Valentino. Once we get to Charlie Chaplin, we are in trouble. It is intense and shocking. That's all I can say. And I will read every weird word of it. So hang in there, Bill. Yolanda said, ha, you can't ration this. You know what I'm talking about. Yolanda's done some non-rationing in her day. Tabby said, that's an old one. Complains the man who regularly sings songs from the 30s and 40s. No, those songs are published before 1927, so they're public domain. Nell said, I love you, Orson. That's so sweet, Nels, and I'm very fond of you, too. Dave Muscarella said, party at Kitty and Studs was Stallone's porn. So mine is going to be called Party at City and Studs. Neil said, become a Key to the City member. It's really worth it. Well, thank you. That's just, look at my whole robe is open now. What a salacious episode. Here we go. Oh. See, some of these I can't. Oh, here we go. There was an old sailor named Jock who was wrecked on a desolate rock. He had nothing to eat but the punk of his feet and the cheese from the end of his... Yep. Not going to finish it. That was a weird one. That was a gross one, lady. Bill said, you mean there's a Charlie Chaplin silent sex tape? I can just imagine the tagline. I don't know if he had his mustache or not. Kiana said, your chest is blinding me. It's very reflective. Kiana said, finish it. I will not finish it. Key to the City members get these, said Tabby, and she uses the wonderful emojis of me and David and Vince and Hulk and B and Coffee Time. And, of course, do the move. Neil said, an uncomfortable RJ is hilarious. That's me all the time. Texas High Flyer said, City After Dark is always the highlight of my hour. Gee, thanks. Well, it's a total hour. So what the hell else are you doing in this time? Kenna said, how much do I have to pay? You all ought to be ashamed of yourselves. I'm trying to stay monetized here. Have some respect. Anyway, speaking of, the hour is done. And we had a swell time. Thank you to David for joining me. Thank you to Blue Meanie for joining me. And Kiana and Pantyless Grandma for the wonderful limerick. And all you fun, Jordan Patrick. Nails, of course. Yolanda came almost on time this time. I'm so shocked. Val, you're all very sweet. And I guess I'll have to come back next week because we're not done this book and we're not done the debauchery. It seems like it never ends. Good night and God bless.